Powered by the Montana Television Network. Montana This Morning continues on Montana's News Leader.
More changes are coming to the White House. President Trump gets a new economic advisor. I'm Hannah Doba with more on why the staff shakeup may not be over.
And law enforcement officers swarmed over Manhattan last night, making 2 arrests. Coming up, we'll tell you what led to the big police presence.
Good morning, 6:30 on this Thursday. Chellyman, Missy O'Malley, Matt Elwell with you here, living in the snow globe, as it's kind of like. It's actually tapering off a little bit out here right now.
Who shook this?
Somebody's been shaking that baby all morning long out there, though. It's been
the way we're going to have to deal with this is the fact that we're going to have slushy roads. That means slow driving, maybe some icy spots in a few areas in southwest Montana. Extra brake room as you're driving. Here's a look at what we have going on. Temperatures right at the freezing mark for most of the area. A little warmer out in Livingston. We've had some reports of a couple of inches of slush on Bozeman Pass this morning. Road conditions expected to be slushy or icy in a few areas depending on the temperature. Most of us are dealing with scattered snow showers throughout the morning hours, switching over to a rain-snow mix into the afternoon. It could make things a little dicey toward the evening as well. We'll, of course, talk more in depth about your forecast coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Matt. We're going to kind of stay on topic right now, 6:31. The National Weather Service says the latest snowpack reports for southwestern Montana looking really good. In fact, most of the data shows year-to-date snowpack that's 125 to 165% of normal. Officials say that early to mid-spring is very important to have good snowpack to make sure the region has plenty water supplies for the summer months.
A great base entering these couple of months, which are really critical for us in terms of water resources. And the next few weeks to the next month are really going to be critical for timing of volumes in the river. So if we see warm-ups, we could start to move some of this water out of the mountain snowpack a little bit earlier than we typically do. Really, it's going to be the next few weeks and even month that's going to dictate our water volumes for this summer.
Well, in the next few hours, even the next couple of days, especially in the higher altitudes, we're expecting more snow. Also, here's an update on a story we first told you about last night at 10. A big police presence in Manhattan last evening. Bozeman police say it was part of a combined effort to find and arrest a Manhattan man wanted by the U.S. Marshal Service. Police say they were looking for Brian Lutes on a felony charge of tampering with witnesses and informants and a misdemeanor charge of stalking. Lutes was not at home on Wooden Shoe Lane when officers arrived, but a short time later turned himself into officers in Manhattan. After that, a woman, Alyssa Willard, was also arrested. She was charged with obstructing justice for hindering officers who were trying to arrest Lutes. No one was injured when the two were taken into custody. In addition to Bozeman Police, Manhattan Police, Galvin County Sheriff's officers, and Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks also helped with those arrests.
And last night, the University of Montana Police Department warned students of an assault that occurred in a campus bathroom. Police say it was a violent hate or bias crime. The male assailant has not been identified and no one is in custody at this time. MTN's Augusta McConnell has our story.
A third party filed the report that a male student was physically assaulted in a men's bathroom on the main level of the liberal arts building on campus across from room 102.
Due to the nature of the report and the fact that the assailant is still unknown and at large, we did make the decision to notify our campus community of a potential threat so that they can be aware.
Students and the on-campus community were warned by email and text. Officials say the assault is considered a hate crime.
My understanding is that it is not race-related, but some other details surrounding the assault have led them to report it as a bias crime or a hate crime.
UMPD is investigating. They're asking anyone with information to come forward. You can contact UMPD by phone at 243-6131. Information can be submitted confidentially or anonymously. In Missoula, Augusta McDonald, MTN News.
Now, Augusta also adds universities are obligated by federal law to report any crimes that occur on campus where there is an ongoing threat.
Well, it looks like the revolving door at the White House might still be turning. After a week of shakeups that included the ousting of Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, there are signs more could be on the way. CBS's Hannah Doba explains.
During a recent stretch that has already seen its fair share of comings and goings at the White House, the latest to step in, CNBC television contributor Larry Kudlow. He was named director of the National Economic Council, replacing Gary Cohn, who announced last week he was stepping down.
The president has given me a chance I love it. I'm honored by it. I'm honored to serve my country. That's a great dream.
To date, more than 20 senior administration staffers have either been fired, resigned, or reassigned. This was the president Tuesday, shortly after pushing out Secretary of State Rex Tillerson.
I'm really at a point where we're getting very close to having the cabinet and other things that I want.
3 others who may be on the hot seat are Secretary of Veterans Affairs and Obama-era holdover David Shulkin. In February, the Inspector General determined Shulkin and his wife used taxpayer dollars on a lavish trip to Europe. He paid the money back after the findings were made public. Sources say President Trump and National Security Advisor Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster have been clashing over policy. His departure has been expected for weeks. And Secretary of Housing and Urban Development Ben Carson is facing some scrutiny for picking out a $31,000 dining room set for his office. The order was eventually canceled. Hannah Doba, CBS News.
Now, Hannah tells us if McMaster is among the next to go, President Trump is reportedly eyeing former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton to replace him.
And 3 men from Park County have been sentenced for poaching 3 bison last month. Jesse Darr, Riley Height, and Peyton Simmons all pleaded guilty to the charge. They each received an 18-month suspended jail sentence and will each have to pay a fine of $2,600. They will also lose their hunting, fishing, and trapping privileges for 4.5 years. The dead bison were found earlier this month in the Beatty Gulch area. Their heads had been removed. Officials with the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Department say that they used a canine officer to track down the suspects. And the first watercraft inspection stations of 2018 are opening this weekend in Ravalli, Blue Bay, and Kalispell. This year, watercraft traveling into Flathead Basin are now required to undergo inspections to prevent the spread of aquatic invasive species. Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks is starting a pilot program requiring all vessels traveling into the Flathead Basin area to be checked at an official inspection station prior to launching. Now, Fish, Wildlife, and Parks is opening its first certification station of the year on Thursday at its regional office in Kalispell.
Shifting gears a bit, transportation to and from Big Sky has been a challenge for a lot of people, but a $10 million grant could change that situation. MTN's Morgan Davies has more from Big Sky.
Overcrowding and dangerous roads are the major headaches when it comes to commuting from Bozeman to Big Sky. One business that has locations in both places has certainly felt the effects.
We thought initially that it'd be great because we can share employees, and even hiring process. We ask people that live in Bozeman, are you willing to commute? And everyone's like, oh my gosh, yes. And then they do it 3 days in a row and they're like, can't do this anymore.
Earlier this winter season, I reported of the issues that the Skyline bus service had with overcrowding due to the lack of seat space and funding. This issue directly affected employees, but businesses are hopeful that this grant will allow for more reliable transportation.
I mean, it's really hard to run a business when you're expecting someone to be here at 9 a.m. but the bus is running late or they missed it because it was too full, so they have to wait another 2 hours to get it here. I mean, it's very hard.
With unpredictable weather conditions and wildlife, the grant is also addressing safety.
It'll take pressure off the traffic on our main highway that goes in and out of our destination, our artery, that gives us life because it will widen and provide 7 turn lanes.
This is just one of the locations for those left-hand turning lanes, and those turning lanes were picked in locations where there are a high number of vehicle collisions.
Over the summertime, I was stuck in my car for 4 hours on the pass just because the semi took a turn way too fast and crashed.
The grant calls for added pedestrian safety as well. There are plans for a walking tunnel and an extension of a paved pedestrian trail. In Big Sky, Morgan Davies, MTN News.
Now, Morgan tells us the chamber is waiting for the grant to be signed by the Department of Transportation. When that happens, construction can then start.
And here you go, Bozeman's first drive-through grocery store will open next month. It's called Ridge Run, and it's located in Four Corners. It will offer all those last-minute grocery needs. Having to get out of the car, you don't even have to do it. All you have to do is pull up to the window, ask for items like your produce, your sugar, your diapers. All within minutes, you're going to be on your way home. The owner, Bethany Clark, says she got the idea from the concept from being a busy mom.
Because of the sprawl of Gallatin Valley, it was driving one direction for work and the other direction to pick them up from daycare, and once it gets dark out, you don't want to stop in the grocery store after you got them all in the car seats, and so that's kind of where the idea started. And then it just grew from there.
Now the store is set to open April 2nd. It will be open. Matt is so excited about this.
There's nobody happier than the Elwell clan about this possibility. That's
12 kids.
I don't have to take the whole
car.
community out of the car. That's awesome.
Just to let you know, it will open April 2nd. It'll be open from 9 a.m. till 7 p.m. Stay with us. We have some incredible guests with us now. Grammy-nominated singer-songwriter KT Tunstall rocking the Rialto tomorrow night for Hatch Fest. Talking about the Identity Project when we return.
But first, here's Gail King with a look at what's coming up at 7 on CBS this morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS this morning, Major Garrett's at the White House with the latest turmoil in the West Wing. Who could be the next to go? And our cameras follow John Dickerson home as he tries to go a day without technology for our new series. It's called Pay Attention, the impact of bad phone habits on our attention spans and how you can unplug. The question is, do you want to unplug? We'll talk about that. See you at 7 o'clock.